Hey everyone, welcome back to DWeb Decoded, a podcast by Filecoin Foundation that explores the intersection of blockchain and the data economy. I'm your host, Aaron Stanley, and today I'm joined by Trevor Koverko, who's the founder of Sapient. Sapient's building the world's first decentralized data foundry. So we're going to be learning about that today. Trevor, it's great to have you here.
You too, man. And as the audience knows, Aaron is a great guy. We go back a little bit, and Filecoin, of course, is a legendary project, Protocol Labs guys, and it's just great to reconnect.
Awesome. So maybe to get started, I'd love for you to give kind of a quick, you've been around for a long time in the world of crypto. You're a professional hockey player for a quick stint, but maybe kind of give like the TLDR of your professional career, how you got to this point, and then we'll dive into Sapient.
Yeah, the quick version is grew up in Canada, and we like to play hockey up here. So that was kind of my first career up until my early 20s. I made it all the way up to the draft year of the New York Rangers in 2005, which was a big highlight for me, and learned a lot in that era too, just like general skills, but stuff that I've applied to business later on too. I didn't quite translate them early on in my second career in business, but things like compete level and discipline, and even just like general teamwork was super valuable to me later on. And then I abruptly ended my career with a car accident in 2005, and so I had to kind of open a new chapter and recover.
Oh, wow.
And then, it was kind of a wild swerve for my career there, but tried to have a good attitude. I went back to school for a little bit, and then ultimately ended up in Silicon Valley, where I spend most of my time now. And that was like a new rebirth for me, like coming into a brand new ecosystem at zero connections or zero skills or relevant anything. Hockey doesn't really translate to much back in the software world, but yeah, so did that, and then kind of discovered crypto, which was like yet another new exciting passion of mine early on in the whole thing in kind of the early 2010s. And that kind of led me to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And then that led me to Ethereum. I was living in Toronto at the time and was very fortunate to be around the early co-founders and icons like Joe Lubin and Charles Hoskinson and Gavin Wood. And everyone was all together in a little bunker in Toronto, launching Ethereum when Vitalik was handing the white papers out. And then, and that was fun. And being an early community member of that rocket ship. And then, eventually started my own project called Polymath, and that's what I did that was a whole 6 or 7 year adventure for me. And so launched in 2018, and we were an early RWA network. It wasn't even called RWA back then, but it was exciting.
It was still just security tokens back then, right? Like, we were calling it security tokens.
I know, dude. I bought securitytokens.com, and we thought that was the thing. I don't know where RWA came from. I have no clue, but that's what it is now. And as you know, like you and I could go back and forth on this, just like there's definitely that, what's it called? The JS curve or whatever, the hype cycle, and then the trough of disillusionment, and then slowly
the Gartner cycle, right?
Yeah, the hype cycle. There you go. And to a T, we followed that, and it was a very painful, protracted, frosty bear market where it's kind of like no one cared. Like the tier one VCs didn't care, the retail didn't care, the Wall Street didn't want to touch it. So it was like kind of a weird spot to be in. But we kind of knew, we had a conviction that this is happening. It's like the tokenization of everything is inevitable, and look, it's kind of playing perfectly along that arc. And if you debate the timescales, did we think it would happen sooner? Yes or no? That's a debate. But it started out with protocols being tokenized, and then other things like NFTs, and then cash. That was probably the first one with serious real world product market fit. And it's just a freight train of an industry now. In Silicon Valley, like the top investors, like that's what they're looking for now, is like stablecoin infrastructure. And I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, because you didn't really hear that for a long time. So from protocols to NFTs and stuff to stable coins, and we know what's next. It's financial assets. Money markets, I think, is the next vertical, and it's happening, and record growth in some of these products. And then from then on, it's just everything else: stocks, bonds, real estate, structured products, So yeah, we were early to that, but we were lucky to have good, patient, investors and partners, and the project's in a really good spot now. We're actually in the process of going public. I'm not operational anymore. I hired a great management team. But yeah, it's fun to see everything come kind of full circle.
Yeah, well, it must be vindicating when the likes of Larry Fink are coming out with these papers and the grand theses about the tokenization of assets and all these things, and you're like, hey, we were beating this drum 6-7 years ago and nobody cared, but now it's like, okay, maybe I got to trust my instincts. I got to trust that still small voice, that conscience, right? So
one other
that's
point
really
on that is just quickly is like, it's been a struggle when your competitors are doing well and everyone's like, yeah, good for you guys, like grow this pie, grow the pie. And we've seen that, like guys like Carlos from Securitize, they started around when we did and just been doing great foundational hard work, and they're in a great spot now. And projects like Ondo, they kind of came out of nowhere for me, and they're just like really, really getting this thing on the map. So we're cheering everybody on. We want the pie to be bigger.
Yeah, and it's really been incredible seeing like the growth and I think the guys that stuck it out, just grinding it out. I mean, I think Securitize, those guys pivoted a bunch of times during the bear market years, right? Just trying different things. It's just kind of a question of staying in the game, right? But yeah, now it's like it's off to the races, which is super cool. And I love kind of like the hockey background as well. I realize like there's not really any maybe like direct relevance to like tech or crypto or anything like that. But I feel like once you, speaking as a non-athlete, professional caliber athlete, but like once you get to that level, like everybody is good, right? You have to be like top of your game all the time, right? It's not like playing in high school where you show up and you play 50% and you're, smoking everybody, right? But once you get to that level, that elite level, like everybody's good, right? And I feel like it's kind of the same in tech and startup world where, especially if you're in Silicon Valley, it's like everybody's good. Right. Every founder is good. Every investor is good. None of these guys are slouches, right? Like you got to be kind of at the top of your game. So I feel like there's probably a lot of like really like, kind of good lessons to be applied there, just from like kind of operating at that elite level, irrespective of the vertical.
I think that's exactly right. Like people ask a lot, like what skills can you translate? And I think there's some things that don't, like you have to unlearn some things a little bit, but I'd say out of all the, teamwork and work hard and stuff, it's really the small percentile power law. Some people win and win big, and those are the people that are mixed talent with a lot of dedication and hard work. And then the rest, just don't make it. And I think that's the one thing I kind of brought. And then also one other thing is just kind of like the team, not in the cliche way, but like winning as a team to me is always more fulfilling. Like I couldn't imagine being like a solo sport winning. It wouldn't be as fun because you can't like crack champagne with your teammates. You kind of can with your staff and stuff, but the team stuff. And I feel like a startup where I've dedicated, the next phase it's very, very team focused. And I've been lucky to have a lot of really good teams.
Yeah. That's a great, And with hockey, I feel like the team bonding is such a unique level of like team bonding within hockey compared to other sports. Like I played a bit growing up in Minnesota, not very good
hockey
but
town,
there's just like a unique level of like kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like just synchrony, and like you're like really in the trenches with these guys like day in and day out. And there's kind of like this unique bond that I don't think you like find in other sports. Like everyone grows their hair out and doesn't shave for like months on end, that kind of stuff.
And there's one other thing on that is I just thought of is like it's individual success within a team versus the team winning. And you get drilled from an early age in high level hockey. It's like it's the crest on the front of the jersey, not the name on the back of the jersey. That's the cliche, but it's very true. Like if you are selfish and you score a lot of goals, but your team loses, the scouts are like, this guy's not a winner. We want people who can work within a team to win. And that means you might have to do some role you don't want to do or some task you don't want to do. But I think that mindset has been helpful too, where it's like, it's not about being the star necessarily or playing on the power play. It's about like everybody finding a role and together the team winning is the most important thing.
Yeah. Super valuable life lesson there for sure. Well, let's talk about what you're doing right now with Sapiens. Would love for you to just tell us a bit about what it is, what the project is, and then tell us about the kind of the inspiration for it. Like, how did you kind of stumble upon this, or what was the genesis of this idea?
Yeah, it was kind of the gap between polymath and I was doing some investing and stuff, and I did some stuff in the public markets. I was kind of playing around in there and launched a company called Matador, which is now kind of a live Bitcoin treasury company. And but I miss like being the in the trenches as especially a token based founder, or at least in the Web3 space. And that was my passion, and that's where I kind of built a lot of knowledge and relationships. So organically though, I wasn't really looking to dive in because like polymath was really hard, and it's a commitment because I don't like to do things half-assed. But I ultimately started learning about AI, I guess. I had some friends that were like machine learning graduates from the University of Waterloo. That's where Vitalik went. It's like a highly regarded technical university in Canada. And I started like networking in the space a bit, just with friends. And I met a co-founder of Scale AI, which is like a really impressive data company in the Valley. And just over that time frame, kind of developed a thesis that data is the bottleneck in present AI and future AI. It's the new bottleneck. It's not just chips and electricity and data centers. That's all you hear about. And Jensen and Elon doing deals in Qatar and stuff, like that's actually not where the bottleneck is now. It is, but it's commoditized. Like if you have money, you can get it. So by definition, that's not really the bottleneck. So what is the bottleneck? Like where can we like solve problems and unlock value? And I think that's in the data layer of AI. So that's like how these models train. You need data, and he who has better data has a better model. It's kind of a direct causation correlation situation. And so what is your data strategy if you're building a model? If you're a huge model like OpenAI or one of these foundational models, if you're even a smaller vertical model, that's another trend happening, is a lot of companies are building vertical models, like vertical SaaS companies, like a model that's really good in this one area, that's better than OpenAI in this one area for one reason. They have access to better quality data. So anyway, that kind of went down that data rabbit hole. And at the bottom of the rabbit hole is ironically kind of humans. It's people that created internet data, where most models train on. It's like people on the internet creating data. That's literally the source of all the data that these models train on. And then beyond that, if you want to get high quality data, you need specialized human data. So that's like experts in certain fields. And then you get even higher quality data. And then you can get humans to like take raw data. You can think of it like a supply chain, like oil or something. There's like a raw material, like crude oil. Then you got to refine it. So that's another component of data, is like structuring that data and organizing the data, which actually unlocks performance. If you look at the early LLMs, it was actually OpenAI that won. And the reason they won is not because they were the first, because Google and Facebook had internal models before OpenAI, but they were just kind of not performant. They didn't work. They hallucinated a lot. And then OpenAI kind of pioneered this technique where they integrated millions of humans into these data sets at scale, like huge amounts of humans. And that they click go on the training rounds, and suddenly their models were like magic. And it was because you had humans like really fine tuning these data sets and doing data tasks that help improve the quality of the data. And so then I was like, lastly, as I'm kind of ranting here, I was like, okay, how is it done today? Like, where is data sourced from? Like, we see chip foundries, that's like TSMC and NVIDIA type stuff. But where's the data foundries? Like, why aren't people producing data like in a specialized way? And it turns out there is. Like, Scale AI is a great example. They're an iconic company that does data production. And after looking at that and the architecture and talking to some folks orthogonal to the business, I was like, okay, why can't we make this global? Like, a lot of folks, as I was talking to you before the going live here, like a lot of these companies have networks of humans in physical locations that are producing data. And I thought that was kind of like old school. Like, why can't people just do it as a gig work from their home? And In fact, like how cool would that be if you could do this for a living? You could like produce and structure data whenever you want. It's like a form of gig work. You don't need a car to drive an Uber. You don't need DoorDash, whatever. You can just like pull out your Android phone and start. And how cool is that? Because now AI is paying humans, and it's like it's not eliminating human jobs, it's creating them. And maybe AI needs us more than we need AI. And so that's what I kind of saw, and that was the kind of origin story of how Sapient kind of organically came to be.
So these data foundries, if we want to use that term, kind of as it's being done currently, or how it was being done. So is this like there's like an office building somewhere with just people like at their computers, and they're just going through and like reviewing data or like cleaning up data sets, or like how does that actually, like what is actually going on in these in this process?
Yeah, think data farms, think call centers, think developing countries like the Philippines, and they have like huge stadiums filled with folks doing data entry. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that inherently, because it's a employment and having optionality is good. But yeah, that's what it is. And it's kind of it is really call centery. And if you're running a call center, even though it's not automated or efficient necessarily, you still want to make it internally efficient to make it a better quality call center. But these data centers are very old school. Like a lot of them, they have human QA, where like humans are doing spot checks on other people's work, and they're doing like retroactive pay deductions based on. That's kind of like not super modern the way it's done. And so a lot of human powered data sets are organized and structured in these, like to this day, it's a common thing. And it all comes down to QA. Like I asked some folks at some of these companies why they do it. And it's like, well, humans might cheat. They might not do data entry genuinely, and they get kind of a freeloading paycheck. So we need like manual top-down hierarchical systems to oversee it. And so yeah, so that's kind of one of the problems.
So it's like the quality assurance. They've created this kind of like top-down model in different places of the world, just really focused on quality assurance. And like, what tasks are these people doing exactly? Like, is it like looking at an image? Like, is it like I don't know, like you look at like a CAPTCHA, like is this a fire hydrant or is this a crosswalk, or like is it like verifying images with like the English, kind of language word, correlating English word? Is it I don't know, like maybe help us understand like what exactly is this process? Like what are these people actually doing kind of day to day?
Yeah, it's very, think of like CAPTCHAs. So like, you fill out a CAPTCHA, but much more rich and robust. Like you see all kinds of different, every case is different, which is kind of interesting as well, because first of all, you have different data modalities. So that's like text and image and audio. So that's a bit of variety. And then within those modalities, you have like different formats and stuff. And so it all depends. Like sometimes these folks will be doing data entry tasks. Sometimes they'll be doing data collection tasks. Sometimes they'll be doing bounding box image stuff. So you might have like a professional radiologist draw a bounding box around a tumor or a cancer cell, and you're actually like feeding data into these models to teach them how to do it at an even higher degree of accuracy. But it's really endless. Like every type of data in the world needs a home, and then these humans like help structure it so it can find one.
So every time I use like a ChatGPT or any other LLM, like I'm basically, the answer I'm getting, the inference I'm getting has been trained based on data that's been prepped in one of these places. Essentially, this is sort of like ubiquitous practice, right? This is like everybody uses this essentially.
Yeah, and exactly. And when OpenAI pioneered it, the word got out, and so everybody started. Started, figuring out what their strategy is. But it's one component of data, right? Like I like to use examples of like, Reddit. They have a whole bunch of data, and what's their business? Ads or whatever it is. But now they have a new line item as of last quarter, which is data licensing. So they actually license their data to, I believe, OpenAI for something like $60 million a quarter. And so Reddit can monetize their data in a new way. And what's interesting, if you even look out in a more strategic way, it's like, okay, what if I'm JP Morgan and not Reddit? Do I want to sell access to my private customer data. Let's just assume that there's no privacy issues there, just for argument's sake. I want to leverage this data set. Like, how do I do it? Well, I could either sell access to it to Gemini or something, but do I want to do that? Like, that might be the only competitive advantage I have left, that I'm cannibalizing myself. Like, I'm teaching Gemini how to do my job, and so I'm going to have nothing. So what they might do instead is they're going to say, no, we're going to use our data edge. They have some of the best private data sets in the world to build our own model. And we're going to have our own JP Morgan model. And we're going to use that model, and we're going to bring in lots of humans to help organize and structure it. And we're going to bring in even more humans to help collect more data and help do data labeling to structure that data. And now JP Morgan has a model. So what I would encourage everyone to do is just keep an eye out for all of these. It's kind of this proliferation of vertical models that we're seeing that are not as expansive as ChatGPT, but they're in a specific area and really, really, really good in that specific area. And the company that's doing it has some kind of data edge that helps it be better than just the generalized models. Think of it like a SaaS companies, like there's a lot of SaaS companies, not just one, because like they're all specialized and have their own unique workflows.
That's interesting. It's almost like these like single use case LLMs, basically. It's like, hey, we're really good at this one, for this one particular vertical, like we have an edge over any of these other big ones that are kind of the behemoths that are more general, essentially. Well, so maybe talk a bit more about, so Sapiens, you're trying to basically take this kind of data foundry model and kind of open it up a bit more while providing the same level of quality assurance that exists in the current system. Maybe talk a bit about just talk a bit about how you're set up. Like, what's kind of the operating model?
Yeah, so think of it kind of like Uber for data labeling or data, where we have the demand side, which is in Uber, that's the passenger, and then the supply side, which is the drivers. And so for us, the demand side is businesses that are building their own models, and they need a data pipeline that they can go build a model with. And then on the supply side, we have this huge network. Think of like, we just crossed 1 million users today. We haven't announced it yet. So 1 million humans in the cloud that are doing data tasks for these companies. And you could think of Sapient kind of like the smart routing engine in the middle that matches the right human to the right task from the right company. And so we kind of really see this. I know it's a cliche analogy, but kind of the Uberization of AI data, where right now it's kind of like the taxi cab company. There's like these big medallion type centralized data companies that have physical locations. And this is like more like the distributed gig work. Like if you're a human, you can do a 5-minute task at a bus stop when you're waiting for the bus, or you can do it as a full-time job as like a gig work, like an Uber driver who does it for a living. And the other benefit to this is we've learned there's a network effect in this model, in the same way there is for Uber. In our permutation of it, it's a little bit different, because the more humans you have, and the more diversity you have, so different backgrounds, different genders, like the more diversity of humans you have, the higher quality data they produce. If you have one call center with a homogenous group of humans, you're going to get slanted and biased data outputs. And so the more humans you have, the better quality data you have, which brings in more humans and so on. So it's kind of a cool new model that, believe it or not, is needing Web3 to do the QA, which I could get into. But at a high level, we're just kind of like the Uberized model for data production.
And then where are you seeing the demand for this coming from? Like, what types of customers or potential customers are interested in using this or are currently using this?
We started out kind of thinking the mid-market models, like, vertical models from like, mid-sized companies. But we got pulled up market pretty quickly. So we have a whole demand side to the business where we have like a sales team, and we've been able to acquire large customers like Fortune 100 companies like Amazon's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have repeat pay customers like Amazon's self-driving car unit, like Baidu and Alibaba. We have a lot of success in the APAC region, and Midjourney as well. So it's really cool because all of these companies are in a position where they're really, shall we say, interested in leaning into AI, and they're all building their own models, and they're all needing a lot of data to be competitive with their competitors.
Wow, that's super interesting. And then on the supply side, then, so how are you finding these people who are I mean, are these folks from like maybe the same regions that where these physical like data founders would be located, like Philippines or other parts of the world like that? Like, how are you finding these people to participate, or how are they learning about this?
Yeah, a lot of word of mouth. We have a lot of great testimonials now of people who do this for a living. So it's kind of cool. We can say, hey, this is a new option for people. In fact, it might be the only option soon because Uber is going to be robo-taxis in the near future,
right.
and Amazon is going to do
drone deliveries and
drone drops. So that door may be closing, but like all technology, a bigger, more exciting, I think better windows opening. Like, would you rather be an Uber driver or like just work from your Android phone on the go and potentially, make more money and not have to like go to the gas station or whatever. So that's cool. And lastly, it's fun. Like, we try to make it gamified a little bit. That's why our URL is game.sapient.io, because we try to make it fun and have streaks and leaderboards and challenge a friend. So it can not be just like a monotonous filling out an Excel spreadsheet type energy. It's like, no, it's fun. You can like have an avatar and label data, making it feel like you're playing a game.
Oh, super interesting. And I mean, it sounds fairly similar to kind of like the play to earn kind of blockchain gaming wave from a couple of years ago, right? There was these, the Axie Infinity guilds and, the Yield Guild games and some of these other things that were really popular in Southeast Asia, especially during the pandemic, right? Like a lot of people you hear all these stories of people playing Axie Infinity while they were on lockdown, right? They couldn't go to work, but they're making money on Axie Infinity. And, some of those games didn't like turn out quite as well as maybe we had hoped they would, but it seems like there's much more of like a kind of a tangible, like there to the product that you're building here. Like it's a game, but they're contributing to something much bigger, and there's something where there's real demand. There's real customers for. But yeah, I mean, I'd be interested in like, how does this kind of compare to, or what were maybe some of your learnings from that original kind of blockchain gaming?
Hey, we lean in. I lean into that analogy. I think one of our early investors was Gabby from YGG, and he's very helpful. But hey, it's play to earn. Like, I think that's the first iteration was exciting, and I think the next one will be different and evolve from that one. And we don't like talk about it too much, just because we're really focused on helping people do this for a living, and rather than just kind of like earn points or whatever. So for us, it's more like this could be like a real profession for you to do this, as a full-time thing. But I totally think we got a lot of lessons from the Axie people. I think they're pioneers in the space, and we're definitely going to learn even more from our own mistakes and successes moving forward.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And it's really interesting to see some of these, think of these like the Axie models, perhaps a prototype, and then what you guys are doing is kind of building on like a next layer on top of that with some incorporating some of those learnings, et cetera.
And one quick point on that is what did we learn from Axie? Like, you get paid on chain. And that's such a simple thing. You and I might be used to this from being in the space, but for someone in the Philippines having to do a PayPal integration and getting it disconnected or having remittance fees and all this, it's a force multiplier for very little effort. So one of the things we've done is integrate stablecoin payments for all of our contributors, we call them. And how cool is that? Like, we have people actually, from around the world who don't have access to the same banking system we do in the West can actually meaningfully improve their lives by accepting on-chain payments.
Yeah, and you're giving people a kind of an easy bridge to get into the on-chain economy as well, right? Which is super cool. Maybe to wrap up, I would love, it seems like you've stumbled upon like a niche that like you had no idea this niche even existed till you kind of went down the rabbit hole, but you found that like you've kind of uncovered a major bottleneck in like the AI economy here, or in kind of the supply chain for the AI economy. And it seems like this is a niche that I would think like 99% of people have no idea that this whole industry even exists, right? It's like I use ChatGPT and it spits out an answer, and that's all I know, right? And I would love to maybe just get your thoughts on like, how do you see this, evolving? Is this like really kind of like a really killer application for these kind of like, these like kind of like double market, kind of supply side, demand side type of business models, like similar to Uber? I mean, Uber's kind of maybe a cliched at this point, but like, it feels like in crypto, we have all these DePIN projects, and I think like it's been easy to bootstrap supply for these projects, but it's been kind of hard to bootstrap the demand for these things. but like, it seems like you guys kind of started more on the demand side, than the supply kind of came organically as you had demand incoming. Just wondering, I mean, what can other entrepreneurs in crypto kind of like learn from this experience that you kind of, seems like you kind of just sort of like stumbled upon this idea and this use case, but it turns out to be like something of real value.
Yeah, I think we went a little different than what a lot of other projects were doing, where we wanted to get real companies and customers and users right away. So we didn't want to just build infrastructure and whatnot. We do that, and our mission statement is we're like an open protocol for training data. But we wanted like real usage, and we wanted a demand side where there's like actual, inflows coming into the network. So I would recommend that, especially in 2025 here. Like that's what a lot of early stage investors look for, is like real traction, real product market fit, and not just building infrastructure for the sake of it. And then secondly, it's just the traditional, build a team, build a feedback loop. That's something that we've really tried to ramp up, is like learning from our users, observing them, shipping as updates as quickly as we can. This is just kind of the tried and true Silicon Valley Y Combinator startup advice, which I always recommend. And then the last one is just, just keep building. Don't worry about the market. Don't worry about timing on launches or this and that. Just keep building and keep learning from your users, and good things will happen.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, and maybe like just to wrap up here, one other quick question. But how do you? I mean, you alluded to this a bit earlier, where like this is an interesting example of like the AI economy, like creating new types of jobs, right? New types of employment for people. Like this isn't something that would have existed, 5-10 years ago. And I don't know. I was hoping you could maybe like riff on that a bit more, right? Like, is this? I mean, I don't know. This seems to be like a really good example in my mind of like, oh wow, like this is a way that we're kind of expanding the pie with this technology. It's not, because I think a lot of people are still in this like kind of half excitement, half doomerist mindset about AI. Like it's really cool, but it's going to take all of our jobs, right? And there's going to be nothing left for us to do. So I'd love for you to maybe riff a bit on just like based on your experience here, like how do you think AI is going to, or what are the types of opportunities are going to open up for humans, for people as these AI systems develop?
It's evolving so quickly, as we all know. I think like just how we think about it, a lot of tasks early on when we started Sapient aren't as in demanded anymore. So just like basic, bounding boxes around a self-driving car, 3D, 4D computer vision data set of like, this is a stop sign, this is a baby. So a lot of that has been automated. But what's happened that's new is now people are like, oh, wait a minute, we need more specialized human experts now for certain tasks. So that's like a big trend right now, is like, what's your skill? Like it could be anything from being a surgeon to being a comedian. Models want to learn from you. And so you can do a data task of which joke is funnier. Models will pay for that. Generalized models will pay. Or you could be a specialized like Cleveland Clinic model, and they're going to want like a radiologist for pancreatic cancer doing bounding boxes around a tumor or cancer cell. So I think that's what's happening next, is kind of bifurcating, and there's kind of like an open market. In Uber, you have Uber Black that's costs more and the driver gets paid more, and then there's Uber X, and it's the same with AI data. But I think the exciting thing is like the bottleneck is humans. Like it's not like we've run out of data for them to produce. Like it's growing, actually, the demand. So we see a world where this could become the biggest gig work by far, is this exact type of work.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super interesting stuff, and congrats on the success and hitting a million contributors. I mean, that's incredible. But Trevor, turn it back to you for any final thoughts, and how can folks find you and learn more about Sapient?
I'm at Trevor Koverko, just my name on most socials, and at PlaySapient is our Twitter.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks again, Trevor, for your time, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you next time on DWeb Decoded.
Thanks, everyone.